Okay, let's paint a picture. The power's out, your cell phone has no signal, the internet is completely gone. So how do you get that critical life-saving information? Well, for millions of us, the answer is still turning on the radio or the TV. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how your local stations prepare to be that lifeline for you during the absolute worst of times.
And here's why that's so important. The reason broadcast is so vital comes down to one word: resilience. You see, when all the modern networks get overloaded or just plain fail, the broadcast infrastructure is literally designed to be the last line of communication standing. Now, for this whole explainer, we're not just guessing. We're drawing directly from the playbook the pros use.
In fact, this explainer is based entirely on that guide you see right here, 10 Steps to Disaster Preparation and Recovery from the National Association of Broadcasters. And the best part? The PDF is available for you to download, no registration needed, right from the search bar on nab.org. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get into why broadcasters have this unique role to begin with. Then, we'll see how they lay the groundwork with a solid strategic plan. After that, it's the really cool stuff, planning for every single thing that could go wrong. We'll also talk about protecting the people on the ground, the station staff, and finally, what happens after the storm passes, how they recover and get even stronger for next time.
All right, first things first, it all boils down to this really important idea of being a first informer. And it's so much more than just reporting the news. We're talking about providing a constant, reliable stream of information that can literally guide a community to safety before, during, and even after an emergency hits.
So how do they actually pull that off? Well, staying on the air when everything else is going haywire is definitely not an accident. It is the result of a super detailed strategic plan. Think of it as the blueprint for resilience.
And here's what I think is so cool. This plan, it isn't just cooked up by one person in some back office. No way. It's a total team sport. You got the engineers pointing out all the technical things that could break, the news directors figuring out how to keep coverage going 24/7, and the managers making sure the staff is safe. And once they build this plan, it's not just put on a shelf. It becomes a living document that everyone knows, everyone reviews, and they test it constantly. Okay, so a huge piece of this puzzle is assessing every possible risk, and I mean everything. They have to ask, are we in a flood zone? What about hurricanes or tornadoes? Are we on the West Coast where earthquakes are a thing? But, it's not just Mother Nature. They also have to plan for man-made stuff, like massive power outages, critical equipment just failing, or even getting hit with a cyber attack.
And this is absolutely crucial. The commitment for all this planning has to come from the very top of the station. But it's not just an internal thing. They have to look outward, too. They use what they call sunny days, the calm, normal days, to build really strong relationships with local emergency officials. Because the best time to shake hands with the fire chief is long before you actually need their help in the middle of a crisis.
Okay, now we get into the really tactical stuff, planning for every single possible point of failure. I mean, this is where the engineers get to be the heroes, thinking through every single worst-case scenario to make sure that signal keeps getting out no matter what.
All right, let's play a little game of what if. First scenario, the absolute most critical link in the chain breaks. The connection from the studio to the main broadcast tower is gone. What happens then?
Well, the answer is one word: redundancy. It's all about having backups for your backups. They can immediately switch to a backup tower, or they can fire up a smaller auxiliary transmitter. They can even find a totally different way to send the content, maybe through a fiber optic line. The point is, there's always a plan B, and probably a plan C and D too.
Okay, on to the next scenario, and this is a big one. Probably one of the most common, a total blackout. The whole power grid just goes down. So how in the world does a station stay on the air with zero electricity?
The answer? 2 words: backup generators. And we're not just talking about one. Nope. There's a big generator for the studio and then another one all the way out at the transmitter site. But here's the real key. It's not just about having the generator. It's about having a prearranged fuel contract to keep those things running, sometimes for days or even weeks on end.
Okay, last what-if scenario. And this one's pretty intense. What if the disaster is literally right on their doorstep? A fire, a flood, some kind of security threat. Whatever it is, they have to evacuate the main studio. Now what do?
Aha! This is exactly where all those sunny day partnerships really pay off. They might have a deal to broadcast from a sister station studio across town, or they could simulcast their audio over another local station's signal. And in a true worst-case scenario, they can just carry the national network feed to make sure something is on the air, that critical information is still getting out there.
And it's not just about those huge, dramatic failures. They also have to plan for the smaller things that can quickly snowball into huge problems. We're talking simple physical fixes, like literally tethering equipment racks to the wall or using safety glass. And on the digital side, it's about having off-site backups for all their critical data and constantly training staff to spot those tricky phishing emails.
Of course, you can have all the best tech and the most brilliant plans in the world, but it's all useless without the people to actually run it. So this next part is all about the station's most important asset, its staff. And you have to remember, these folks are often living through the very same disaster right alongside the community they're trying to serve.
I mean, think about it. When a big storm hits, the staff might not be able to get home for days, so the station literally becomes their shelter. They have to stockpile all the essentials: food, water, tons of batteries and flashlights, bedding, everything the team needs to work and live right there on site, safely, so they can keep the rest of us informed.
But what happens if the main engineer or the star anchor can't even get to the station? Well, that's where cross-training is an absolute game changer. You'll have people from the sales department learning how to run the control board, or an on-air host learning how to do a simple technical repair. The goal is to have a next person up mentality, so anyone can step into a critical role at a moment's notice.
Okay, so finally, what happens when the storm passes and the immediate danger is over? Well, the work of a first informer is far from done. In fact, now the focus shifts to two really important things: recovery and learning.
A huge part of that recovery, as you can imagine, is financial. This table kind of breaks down how different types of insurance kick in to help. You've got your standard property insurance for damage to the building. But here's a fun fact. It's often something called marine insurance that covers the really specialized broadcast gear, like towers and transmitters. And of course, they have coverage for business interruption and even cyber attacks to help them get back on their feet fast.
And this right here might just be the most important step in the entire process. After every single event, whether it was a big one or a near miss, the whole team gets together for a debrief. They ask the tough questions. What worked? What totally didn't? What can we do better next time? It's this feedback loop that makes sure the plan is never just a dusty binder on a shelf, it's a living document that's always getting better.
So as we've seen, your local broadcasters put in a truly incredible amount of work to be ready for just about anything, all so they can be there for you when you need them most. And that, well, it leaves us with one final, pretty important thought. They're prepared for disaster. Are you?